Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So now in this lesson we're moving on to the second bab of the Muqaddimah, and we're discussing Al-Jumla and Al-Kalam. So we have here Al-Bab al-Thani. So Al-Bab al-Thani fil Jumlati wal-Kalam. So the second bab of the Muqaddimah is regarding Jumla, which is what? Jumla means what? Sentence, and Kalam means, well, we'll discuss the difference as we go along, inshallah. وَفِيهِ ثَلَاثَةُ فُصُولٍ. And in this chapter, there are three fasl. So fasl is also another breakdown. You have maqsid is a top heading. In the second heading, you have bab. And then in the bab, we have fasl. So like a smaller heading. So that, again, it's not like a specific meaning, but just different words to see the different headings. And I said before, the books laid out, you have all the headings. Make sure you know, okay, if this is fasl awwal, where's fasl thani, where's fasl thalith? Always don't just read like that one day's lesson. Look at the whole book, so you know everything what is being discussed, and you understand a topic. So you have to know the text individually, focus on that one text, but then you also have to have a bigger picture. Okay, what we're talking about, where we're discussing, so you understand it as a whole as well. That's why you should have a mind map anyways because of the surah. So what are three fasul? So the Bab al-Awwal has three fasul. Al-Jumla, we have rules regarding Jumla. We'll have Shibhul Jumla, and we'll have Al-Kalam. We discuss these three topics within what? Within the second Bab. Okay, so Al-Fasl al-Awwal fil Jumla. So the first chapter is regarding Jumla. What is Jumla? Mashtamalat ala musnadin wa musnadin ilayhi. Ishtamala, what is? Comprised. What does ishtamalat mean? Comprised. So a Jumla is that wording or that structure which is comprised of two things: a musnad wa musnadin ilayhi. What's a musnad and musnad ilayhi? It's coming up. Okay. Mas'ala. So what we have like, I try to keep the text simple, and then to give like each point I put as a mas'ala so that we can see clearly, okay, mas'ala, new point, new point, new point. You don't have to worry, is there something new, something separate? So it's mas'ala, in the text is red, highlighted, you can see, okay, new topic, not new topic, but it's part of the topic, but a point to note. Okay? So mas'ala. Al-musnadu ilay. So basically, if you want to understand musnad ilay simply, it's easy for us in English. Musnad ilay is a subject. What are two subjects in Jumla Ismiyah? What's the subject in Jumla Ismiyah? Mubtada. What's the subject in Jumla Fa'liyah? Fa'il. So in English, you have one word for subject. In Arabic, in Nahw, we have, well, depending on the sentence, we have one name, Mubtada or Fa'il. And in Arabic, another name to encompass both of them is what? Al-Musnadu ilayhi. What's the name for both of them? Al-Musnadu ilayhi. So the Musnad ilayhi is what? هو المبتدأ أو الفاعل. The mubtada or the fa'il is the musnad or the musnad ilay. Are you following? So the musnad, mubtada or the fa'il, and one name to encompass the idea of subject is called musnad ilay. The musnad ilay is basically the subject. And then the next thing is musnad. What's the mas'ala? What's the musnad? هو الخبر أو الفعل. The khabar or the fa'il. The khabar and the fa'il, they are the musnad. The information, the predicate, what you attributing to the mubtada. So you have two new words. You have musnad ilay. What's the musnad ilay? What's the English name for musnad ilay? Subject. And the musnad, we can say predicate loosely. It may not be exactly 100% correct term, but loosely, the information that we are giving about the subject. So musnad ilay and the musnad. You following? Yes? Third masala. Has the word yusamma come before in how to translate yusamma in Sughra? I can't remember. I've done it last time in the videos, almost a couple of months ago. Yeah. So mas'ala, yusamma. So this is the naib al-fa'il. This is the naib al-fa'il. The maf'ul bihi becomes naib al-fa'il. Maf'ul bihi becomes naib al-fa'il. And then naib al-fa'il becomes, the maf'ul thani becomes maf'ul bihi. So, and yusamma, what is translation of yusamma? This call or it is named. Call is better. So the musnad ilay and the musnad are also called the umda. What are they called? The umda. Wa ma siwahuma. Ma is mubtada. Okay, let's leave that apart. What does umda mean? The support, the prop, or you can say here the mainstay. Let me explain this. For a sentence to be grammatically correct, not meaning, just grammatically correct, you have to have two things. What are the two things? Yes, the musnad ilay and the musnad. You must have these two things. Without these two things, it's not even a sentence. Yes, but you need to have some other information. If I ask you, when did you come? So I came. When did you come? I came. Well, I got musnad ilay and musnad. Yes, grammatically it's finished, but the meaning is not complete. So when we say here the musnad and musnad ilay are the essential mainstay, you cannot have a sentence without a musnad and musnad ilay. You must have a musnad and musnad ilay. You can have a sentence without the maf'ul bihi. You may need it, but you can also remove it. Maf'ul fi, maf'ul lahu, maf'ul mutlaq, etc., etc. So the musnad ilay and the musnad are the mainstay, the prop, the support. This is what makes up the sentence. So the musnad ilay and the musnad are called the umda. Again, when you have these Arabic terms, you just know what it means, but you have to learn the Arabic. You don't need to learn the English translation. So it's called the umda. What's it called? The umda. So the musnad ilay and the musnad are the main parts of a sentence, without which a sentence does not exist. And obviously, the other parts you will need to give the correct meaning, or the more logical, flow of conversation. Okay, but this is the main thing, the umda. Wama siwahuma. So now what's happening here is wama. This is really, I should have put another, make it simple. This is yusamma. This yusamma verb also applies here. It comes in here again. Wa yusamma ma siwahuma fadlatan. Ma is mawsul. Siwahuma is a sila. Siwa means what? What does siwa means? Other than, apart from. Siwa means what? Other than. And huma zamir refers, what does huma refer back to? Very good. The musnad ilay and the musnad. Wama, or what is apart from them? What is other than them? Meaning upon, simply, wama siwa huma, and other than them. And what is other than them is called the fadla. Meaning it's called the excess. Fadla means here, we can say here surplus, excess. And I say excess meaning, doesn't mean you don't need it. It means here, you can technically have a sentence that exists without one of these. The maf'ul bihi, maf'ul lahu. And the musnad, you must have it. That's why you have the umda and you have the fadla. Are you following? Yes? So for example, in this sentence, we have khalaqallahu kulla shay. We have khalaqallahu kulla shay. So what's the tarkib of this? Khalaqa is going to be what? Fa'il. Lafz jalala becomes the fa'il. And kulla shay becomes the maf'ulun bihi. Okay? In terms of what's the musnad ilay and the musnad in here? This is musnadun ilay, and this is the musnad. And these two are called what? The umda, the essential part of a sentence. Yes? And the kulla shay is maf'ul bihi. This is an fadl, this is excess, meaning we need this to give the right meaning, the meaning that we want, but without this, the sentence can exist as a sentence. This is called the umda. So you have the fadl, umda, it's called the fadla, sorry. So you have the umda, and then you have the fadla. And then you have the musnad ilay and the musnad. So in Nahw, it's fa'il, fa'il, maf'ul bihi. But now it is saying here, well, any subject, because the word musnad is any predicate or information. Musnad is any subject. And the musnad ilay and musnad are called the umda, the essential parts of a sentence. And the other is called the fadla, the excess parts. Okay, so we'll stop here today, inshallah. So we've understood the parts of a sentence. Okay? Any questions? We'll continue from here tomorrow. The lesson is not finished, but we'll continue from here tomorrow, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So let's continue from yesterday, our discussion. So we had discussed what a jumla is. A jumla is made up of a musnad and a musnad ilay. And we explained what a musnad and musnad ilay is. Basically, just another term for subject and the information. And then we said that a musnad ilay and musnad is called the umda. The umda meaning the essential parts. Without these parts, the sentence doesn't even exist. And after that, we have the fadla, the additional parts, which are necessary for the meaning to be complete and for it to make sense. But for it to be a nahwa, correct grammatical sentence, no, it's not necessary. And we've already done this in surah. وَالْجُمْلَةُ قِسْمًا. And a jumla is of two types. What are the two types? We have al-qism al-awwal, al-jumlatu al-ismiyatu. The first type is al-jumla al-ismiya. And jumla ismiya is what? وهي ما صدرت. Sadarat, we're going to say here to commence with. Bismin is that which commences with an ism. So Jumla Ismiya is that which Sadarat commences, starts with. And Bismin, an ism. So Jumla Ismiya is that which starts with an ism. For example, Allahu khaliqu kulli shay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything. So in here, the first word in the sentence is Allah, Lafzul Jalala. So the first one is Lafzul Jalala, Lafzul Jalala. And just as a side note, when you use the word Allah in grammar, out of respect, we don't say Allah is fa'il, Allah is maf'ul bihi, Allah is mudaf ilayh, Allah is majrur. What do we refer to as? Lafzul Jalala, the word Allah, so that it is more respectful. As opposed to, you want to say Allah is majrur. So you say the word Allah. So Lafzul Jalala. So you refer to the word Allah in text as Lafzul Jalala. So Lafzul Jalala is the first word of the sentence. So therefore, this becomes the what? What does it become? This becomes the mubtada, and therefore this jumla becomes, what kind of jumla is this? Jumlatun Ismiya. Got it? And the second sentence, Al-Qismu Thani Al-Jumlatul Fa'liya. The second type is Al-Jumlatul Fa'liya. وَهِيَ مَا صَدَرَتْ. No points for figuring out what it is. مَا صَدَرَتْ بِفَعْلٍ is that which commences with a fa'l. خَلَقَ اللَّهُ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah created everything. So now, the first word is a fa'l, becomes a Jumla Fa'li. We did this already. This is the Arabic text in here. So the main key word here, مَا صَدَرَتْ, that which commences with. Okay, understood? Any questions? Okay. So if you look at it here, you have in our Muqaddimah, we went through Al-Babul Awwal already, and in the Babul Awwal we discuss Ism, Fa'il, and Harf. Now in Babul Thani, we're discussing Jumla, Shibhul Jumla, and Kalam. But here in Jumla, we learned Jumla Ismiya, we learned Jumla Fa'liya. And other two keywords, what's the other keywords we learned? Musnad. What is ilayhi? What is musnad? Yeah. What is musnad ilayhi called? What's in English? Subject. Correct. And then we have the second word is what? Is the predicate. Loosely is the predicate. Predicate. And both of these are called together what? The musnad ilayhi and the musnad are called what? The umda. What does umda mean? The essential parts of a sentence, meaning without two of these, both of these, not two of these, without both of these, the sentence wouldn't even make sense. It wouldn't be a sentence. And everything apart from that is called what? Fadl. And fadla means excess. And it doesn't mean useless or not needed or you don't need to have it. It means it's not an essential part for grammar, for the sentence to function. For meaning, you must have it. Okay? Now, as I mentioned to you in the introduction, we're going to add the examples, we're going to learn how to do I'rab. So we've done the first steps to understanding Arabic. You've done it or you're doing it. So in that book, we done Tarkib. And I told you Tarkib is a subcontinental, as far as I know, subcontinental structure and style. It's a bid'ah hasana. It's a style. It's something that some scholar, some teacher innovated or put into practice. This is how I'rab was also when I started I'rab to help the students understand I'rab. But this Tarkib is more from the subcontinent. And it's a very good thing because it makes it very easy for non-Arab to understand how to translate the sentence. Okay? This is more, it's called parsing. And what do? The focus is to break down the slots. So we want to learn, okay, what's the fa'il? What words represent this thing doing the action? When is the action happening? The day of Jumu'ah. Okay, so day of the Jumu'ah is a maf'ul fi. That's a time. Under the big chair. So under the big chair is a maf'ul fi. It shows us a time. We're not looking at individual words. We're looking at, on a whole, bigger picture, the slots. So under the big chair, you have big is adjective, chair, the. We're not looking at each word individually. We're looking at the slots. That this whole thing becomes, this whole set of words gives us a maf'ul fihi meaning. So in Tarkib, what we are doing is we're trying to, what we learned is how to break down the sentence so we can translate it. We're not necessarily looking at the individual breakdown of each individual word. It's not a word analysis. It's more of a sentence analysis on a higher level to break down the main parts. That's what Tarkib is about. What we're going to learn to do in this book, and we have to learn this, or we need to be, it's important, you don't have to, but we want to learn it so that when we see in the Arabic books, we understand the structure on what is being used in the I'rab al-Quran books, or even they have poetry, they explain the I'rab of poetry or different texts, so we can know this. And even if you see a footnote, you can't write a tarkib in an I'rab in a footnote, because in modern time it's difficult with a graph, and pre-modernization, pre-industrialization, when you didn't have prints and all that, how are you going to draw up a tarkib? You have to write it out. This is mubtada, this is thing. So I'rab is what is used generally. What is it? I'rab means to break down the individual word. We're not looking at translation or collectively, we're looking at individual word. What's the function of each individual word? So this is a slight difference. And when we see here, we'll have a look at it here. So look, we have the word Allahu khaliqu kulli shay. Okay? So when we do, how do we I'rab of this? Allah, not I'rab, tarkib. What's tarkib of this? How would we do tarkib of this? We get a blue ink, we do the bigger parts. How do we do, what we do first? We will say lafzul jalala is a mubtada'un, and then we will say all of this is the khabar. Right? Why? Because we look at the slots. This is this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what we're talking about. This is the information that we're giving about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's the creator, the badi', the mujid of every single thing. And then we'll break this down and say, well, okay, the khabar also has a few slots. We say khaliq is the mudaf, mudaf ilay, mudaf ilay. We'll go like that, we'll break it down. In I'rab, we want to look at the grammatical function. In I'rab, when we do I'rab, we have to do each word individually. So in I'rab, we will start I'rab of this word, I'rab of this word, I'rab of this word, I'rab of this word. We're not going to look at it holistically. We want to look at each individual word. And in each individual word, if it's a mu'arab word, we'll do mabni words later. If it's a mu'arab word, what do we need to do? Number one, we need to identify its grammatical function. Is this word a mubtada? Is it the khabar? Is it the fa'il? Is it the maf'ulun bihi? Etc., etc. Then we have to say, what state is it in? The i'rab, meaning the grammatical state. Is it marfu? Is it mansoob? Is it majroor? Or if it's a verb, is it majzoom? So you have to mention two things. And the third thing is, we have to mention how that word manifests its i'rab. Is it marfu? How? Is it the dhamma? Is it i'rab al-haraf, i'rab al-haraka? Is it a dhamma making it marfu? Is it a fatha making it mansoob? Is it a fatha making it majroor? Is it a waw? Is it a ya? So we have to say three things. So what's the i'rab made up? What is the i'rab made up of? Three parts. We have to state the grammatical function. We have to mention the i'rab, meaning what is grammatical state. Is it marfu, mansoob, majroor, or majzoom? And number three, we must mention how the i'rab is manifested, how the i'rab is depicted. Is it using a dhamma? Is it using a waw? Is it using a ya? So in every single mu'arab word we must mention these three things. What its function is, what its grammatical state is, and how that grammatical state is manifested. Understood? So when we have the word Allahu khaliqu kulli shay, what we can do here, we're going to say a word, we can do like this. So what we'll do first of all, we'll write the word. We're not going to write Allah here, we write lafz jalala, but that's the word. And we'll say, what is lafz jalala becoming? What's the function number one? What is its grammatical function in the sentence? What's it becoming in the sentence? Mubtada. What's the grammatical state? Marfu. How is this marfu expressed? With a dhamma. We say here, mubtada'un, number one. Marfu'un, number two. How is it marfu? With dhammati. Are you following? Do you understand? Yes, Brother Abdul Quddus, Brother Wali. Yes? Brother Asad? Saleh Ibrahim? Yeah, okay. Good. Then after that, we have the next word. Now, this is what I'm telling you, you have to understand here. In Tarkib, I will say, no, look at the whole thing. This whole thing does what? This whole thing is pointing out to us the khabar. But in I'rab, we have to look at each word individually. And this is the truth. This is the khabar. This word on its own is the khabar. Why? Because it's marfu'. This is the only word that's marfu'. So we say khaliq is the khabar. What grammatical state is it in? Marfu'. How is this marfu' state expressed? So number one, what's the grammatical function? Number two, how is it expressed? And number two is the grammatical function, is i'rab. And number three, how the i'rab is expressed. Understood? Okay, let's give it a go. What would how we do kulli? We say kulli. Go ahead, bismillah. No, we don't say, no, okay, we don't label mudaf. Because, yeah. So one thing you have to remember, when we're doing i'rab, we don't label the mudaf. Because when we then sughra, is mudaf marfu? Is it in a marfu list? Is mudaf in a mansub list? Or is mudaf in a majrur list? The mudaf ilay is in a majrur list. Marfu doesn't have any function. So a marfu, the mudaf is actually going to be the fa'il, or the khabar, or the maf'ul bihi, and they will have a mudaf ilay attached to it. So we don't label mudaf. In Tarkib, we do that so we can understand the structure. When we're doing i'rab, we just look at this, we don't say mudaf. What do we say? So kulli becomes what? Yes. Yeah. So mudafun ilay, majrurun bil kasrati. So we have here mudafun ilay, majrurun bil kasra. Good, well done. And the last one, who's going to have a go at this one? Somebody else? Yeah, same thing, because it's mudafun ilay to this. It's mudafun ilay. So mudafun ilay, majrurun bil kasra. Has everybody understood how we do Tarkib, how we do i'rab? So in here, we just need to, we will see this, we will say each word individually. What is it becoming? What is the grammatical state? How is that grammatical state expressed? Understood? Khalaqallahu. So everybody understand this first one? Any questions regarding it here? This one? No? You could say that. You could say that as well. You could mention that as well. Kullun mudafun. You could say kullu mudafin ila khaliq if you wanted to. But you could say mudafin ila is fine. Keep it as simple as possible. Yes, because you want to keep it as simple as possible because we've got so many different structures of i'rab. As simple as possible. Understood? Everybody understand how to do i'rab of this? Yes, any other questions? Please ask the question so that we know it's clear, everybody's understood. Yeah? Okay. Next we have a jumla fa'liya. So this is a bit different here. So the word khalaqa is what? We say here khalaqa, we say fa'l madhi is mabni. The fa'l madhi is mabni. It doesn't have a marfu, mansub, majzoom state. And we'll do a bit more of this later on. So when you in sughra, if you look at the i'rab of the fa'l madhi doesn't have an i'rab. So if fa'l madhi, you don't say marfu, mansub, majzoom. You just say it's fa'l madhi. Yes? And then you say it's mabni. What's it mabni with? Al al-fathi. It will always, this sigha always has a fatha. Khalaqa. The khalaqa, qa is mabni al al-fath. It always stays with a fatha. Do you understand? Everybody following? So when you have a fa'al madhi like this, you will say fa'alun madhin mabniyun al al-fathi. And it's not going to be marfu or mansub or majzoom. Because fa'al madhi is not. The fa'al mudhari will have a marfu, mansub or majzoom state. Not the fa'al madhi. Yes? Following? Okay. Now one note, what the grammarians do is when the lafz is mu'rab, تقول في إعراب اللفظ المعرب. If it's marfu, you say بالضمة, you put a ta marbuta. Why? That's the style that they've used. If it's a mabni word, you say مبني على ضمي, not ضمتي. That's how they do it. This is a slight differentiation. Are you following? Yes. So it's a mu'rab word. What do you say? You say marfu'un بالضمة. When it's a mabni word, say what? مبني على الضم. It's just the way it is in a book. So you have, this is how it's written. So you have to just follow this structure and this style. Everybody understand? Pardon me? No. Oh, al-sukun, we don't have that. Yeah. Because you never have mu'rab alas. You don't have marfu'un bis-sukunati, do you? Or mabniun bis-sukunati. So the mu'rab word is never sakin. Yeah. So majzoom is bihazf al-haraka. Is majzoom bihazf al-haraka. Remember from Sukra? On which words? Yeah, so when you have لم يفعل, you say فعل مضارع مجزوم بحذف الحركة. We'll do that inshallah when it comes up. Don't worry, inshallah. It'll come. Okay? Everybody following? Everybody understand so far? Okay? Okay, how do the next one? Who's going to have a go at the next one? Somebody else? Next one? How do you do the i'rab of the word Allah? The word lafz al-jalala? Somebody else? لفظ الجلالة. لفظ الجلالة فاعل, correct? مرفوع بالضمة because it's a فاعل. So لفظ الجلالة فاعل. Function number one is a فاعل. مرفوع. And how is the مرفوع expressed? بالضمة. Okay, next word. G, next one. Who's going to next one? Somebody else? G. There's no difference. It is a style. So when the word is, when you say marfu, it's a mu'arab word. You would say dammati. And if it's mabni, you just say without the ta. There's no difference. That's how the way they express it. When you see in the books, that's what they say. That's what they do. So you can differentiate between mu'arab and mabni words. So if it's a mu'arab word, it's marfu', you say bid-dammati. If it's mabni, you just say ala dhamm. You drop the ta marbuta. That's how they do it. There's no difference in terms of, like, both are dhamma. Both have one of these. But it's just that's the way that they would do it. So, like, if it's, yeah, that's what they say. So it's no difference. This is a fatha, this is a fath. So if you have khalaqa or khaliqa, it's the same thing. The fatha, but because this is mabni, you call it al-fath, and they call it fathatun, just to differentiate. It's not a big issue. It's the way they do it. You understand? But there's no difference in that aspect. Understood? Okay. Who wants to do the next word? G. Bismillah next. Bismillah. So you say kulla, mansub bil fath. Fathati, because it's not mabni, isn't it? So you say bil fath. You put the ta marbuta bil fathati. That's how you will say it. Very good. You say yes? Next word. Who's going to have a go at the next one? Bismillah. Mudafun ilayhi. That's the grammatical function. What's the state? Majroor. How's the majroor expressed? That didn't go well. Majroorun bil kasrati. You got it? Well done. Okay. Any questions? G. Don't write huwa mudaf because keep it simple. Yeah, just keep it simple because you know it's mudaf from your Tarkib structure, but just keep it simple because in I'rab, mudaf doesn't have a function. Because the purpose of I'rab is to know whether it's marfu', mansub, majroor, and knowing if it's mudaf doesn't do anything because mudaf doesn't have an I'rab. You understand? Yeah. So you see why if you look at it now you guys are you're a bit more mature. This can't be maf'ul bihi. We say here in Tarkib maf'ulun bihi. Technically, it's shay'un maf'ulun bihi. Technically, I'rab perspective, not from meaning perspective, from Tarkib perspective, in I'rab perspective. It can't because why? A maf'ul bihi has to be what mansub. This is majroor. In meaning wise, Allah created everything and everything is the creation. So meaning wise is maf'ul bihi. But in I'rab, when we analyze each individual word, there's no way that can be maf'ulun bihi. So you see the different aspects will give you different focuses. So that's why sometimes there's a few like Arab people like, what you guys are doing is wrong. It's not wrong. And I understand why they're saying it because they don't understand what we're coming from. So when they say, oh, this is alien to Arabic language and this is incorrect, they are right. From Arab is incorrect because you can't make shay'in a maf'ulun bihi when it's majroor. But we look when Tarkib is different because Tarkib look at the whole meaning perspective. So the kulla shay'in, the meaning of maf'ul bihi applies to all of this. So So we make all of this a maf'ulun bihi. In i'rab, each word goes individually. You can't call it maf'ulun bihi. You guys understand? G. Okay. So let's look at this one here. So, I mean, I'm not good. We don't do it this way, but I'm just trying to give you like a little vision. So when you're doing tarkib, you can say here, Allah is mubtada, khaliq kulli shay becomes the khabar, and you break it down, mudaf, mudaf ilay, and then mudaf ilay again. That's how we write it. If you wanted to write Arab, what we could possibly do is, we're not going to write it out in charts. Just keep it as hard, because again, we've got our minds enough, we've trained ourselves enough from the Arabic book. But if, for example, you want to, one way of possibly writing it all out, instead of doing the list like this, pure text, what you could do like this as well. You could say, well, we'll write the main parts at the top. Mubtada marfu'un bi dhamma, right? Then we write here, khabar marfu'un bi dhamma, and then slots at the bottom like this. Kulli is mudafun ilay majrurun bil kasra, and shay'in mudafun ilay majrurun bil kasra. So you could also, like, if you wanted to, you could probably write the Arab in a graph form like this. So the main slots go at the top, and then the phrase go at the bottom. If you wanted to, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to write word 1, Arab, word 2, Arab, word 3, Arab. But if you want a visualization, this is how it would equate in a table. This is also an idea of how you can write Arab in a table form. But it's a lot more text, very text heavy. And a purpose of a tarkib is basically to understand the structure, to translate. So that's why we have our tarkib as the way is. But this is something you could do as well. Okay. How are we going to do this? Let's try to do the i'rab of this, but just using the graph form, so you get visualization. So somebody else, let's start here. How we do i'rab of this? Start, Bismillah. Somebody who hasn't had a turn yet. Bismillah. Fa'ilun madin, number 1, G. Then mabni al-fathi. Are you going to say marfu, mansub, and majzoom? No, because fa'il madi does not have an i'rab. So we say here, khalaqa fa'ilun madin mabni al-fathi. And why is it not fathati? It's not a rule, or it's not like technical. Why did it say fathi and not fathati? It's a style. When it's mabni word, what did it say? Alal fathi. Next word, who's going to do the next word? Bismillah. Ibnu is fa'ilun, number 1. Marfu'un. Marfu'un bi dhammati. So the grammatical function is fa'il. The i'rab is marfu'. The marfu' is expressed via dhamma. Next word, we'll do next word. What's the typo? Oh, that's okay. That's khalaqa. Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. Okay, G. You know I copied and pasted it and never changed it. G. Next. Khalidin. This word here, Khalidin. How we do the i'rab of Khalidin? No, why when we say it's fa'il? In Tarkib, yes, in Tarkib we will say what? Who's doing the reading? The son of Khalid is reading. So the subject in Tarkib aspect is both of this whole structure, this idea of Ibn Khalidin, he's the fa'il, he's the one who's reading. In Tarkib, fine. But in Arab, we look at each word what? Individually. So individually, this word is a fa'il. This word is a fa'il. What would Khalid become? You will say here, it is what? Mudafun ilayhi. It's mudafun ila Khalid. Correct? What's the i'rab of the Khalid? Majroor. How is the majroor expressed? Bil kasrati. G. Next person. Next word. Kitaba is maf'ulun bihi. Mansubun bil fathati. Good. Next one. Mudafun ilayhi. مجرور بالكسرة. Okay. What does يوم become? مفعول فيه منصوب بالفتحة. And next word as well. الجمعة, not جمعة. Oops, sorry, this is a Gujarati thing. It's not جمعة. What was it? يوم الجمعة. It's يوم الجمعة. جمعة is Urdu, Gujarati. يوم الجمعة. Typo. مفعول مضاف إليه مجرور بالكسرة. Understood? Everybody got the idea of how I'rab works? That's the I'rab part of it. And so there's two things we're learning here. One is to do I'rab of the word individually and also the main grammar. So the main grammar was what? We're now doing the types of sentences. A sentence is that which consists of a musnad ilay and a musnad. And a musnad ilay and musnad are called what? The umda. And everything else is called the fadla. And jumla ismiya is ma sadarat bismin, jumla ismiya. Or ma sadarat bifa'lin is jumlatun fa'liya. And then we learn to do the I'rab of individual words. This will be structure. We'll do the grammar, we'll do the rule of the Arabic and the Nahw at first. And then after that, we'll go through the I'rab. So we practice to do both of them, inshallah. Any questions before we finish? No. Tarkib and the I'rab will come under every example. We do I'rab every example. So that's like a side thing. So the Tarkib and I'rab is not a part of any of the headings. We're going to do the I'rab of every single, most of the examples, unless it's been repeated, of all the examples. Are you following me? So the I'rab and Tarkib is not a part of the context of the book. It's an analysis of each example. So the practice. So yes, good question. It's not part of the book. It's the footnotes. And it's to analyze the examples and the structure of the examples. Good. Any other questions? Okay. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.